Welcome to the Recovery Cast, brought to you by Hills and Rangers Private.
Hello and welcome to the Recovery Cast, proudly brought to you by Hills and Rangers Private. My name is Oliver and I'm a former alcoholic and addict now in recovery. The Recovery Cast is a podcast created by people in recovery from alcoholism and addiction for people in recovery from alcoholism and addiction. This podcast is meant as a support tool for those in recovery. Everyone who participates in this podcast is in an active recovery program. We are not affiliated with any one recovery methodology and will focus on a variety of different types of recovery, including 12-step recovery programs such as Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, and things like Smart Recovery, Celebrate Recovery, Recovery Dharma, Cognitive Behavioural Therapy, and more. And a quick disclaimer, this podcast is intended to be informative. A podcast alone cannot support your sobriety and recovery, so we suggest it only as one component of a daily recovery routine. For more information on what recovery is, please go to www.rehab.melbourne. Now, Alexis.
Hi.
Hello again.
Hello.
Now, let's do our reading. So we are up to the 2nd of December, and it is entitled here, it's entitled Recovery, Our First Priority. We're going to do that, and then we are also going to talk about, in the second half of the episode, the importance of keeping a journal or a diary. But first, let's do the reading. So, recovery, our first priority. We have to keep our recovery first and our priorities in order. Basic text, page 82. Before coming to NA, we used many excuses to justify our use of drugs. He yelled at me, she said this, my partner left, I got fired. We used these same excuses for not seeking help for our drug problem. We had to realise that these things kept happening because we kept using drugs. Do you want to take over?
Did you just realise?
Yes, sorry, it's your turn. Go.
Yeah. Okay, so before coming to NA, we used many excuses to justify our use of drugs. He yelled at me, she said this, my partner left, I got fired. We used these same excuses for not seeking help for our drug problem. We had to realise that these things kept happening because we kept using drugs. Only when we made recovery our first priority did these situations begin to change. We may be subject to the same tendency today, using excuses for not attending meetings and being of service. Our current excuses may be of a different nature. I can't leave my kids, my vacation wore me out, I have to finish this project so I can impress my boss. But still, if we don't make recovery our first priority, chances are that we won't have to worry about these excuses anymore. Kids, vacations and jobs probably won't be in our lives if we relapse. Our recovery must come first. Job or no job, relationship or no relationship. We have to attend the meetings, work the steps, call our sponsor, and be of service to God and others. These simple actions are what make it possible for us to have vacations, families, and bosses to worry about. Recovery is the foundation of our lives, making everything else possible. Just for today, I will keep my priorities in order. Number one on the list is my recovery.
It sure is.
Okay. Yeah.
It just made me...
I like this reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, go.
No, it just made me think about this SBS series that I have not watched yet, but I was told about a person who went to a rehab and, they had been drinking, they were an alcoholic, they were drinking for years and years and years, like decades. And they got out and their daughter said, well, you're not allowed to look after your granddaughter. And this person relapsed because of that. And it just made me think, well, yes, our recovery must come first because chances are we won't have to worry about, what does it say? Yeah, if we relapse, we won't have vacations, families, or bosses to worry about, And that poor person didn't put their recovery first. And the thing about staying in recovery and being in recovery is we not only do we keep the things that we have, but we also get back the things that we lost through our addiction. Isn't that
so
true?
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. We're going to get to journals later, but I've got like a little thing that I've written down at the start of my journal, and it says, "My recovery must come first my recovery must come first, so that everything I love in life does not have to come last." And I put that right at the start of my journal as well, because it's just so true. I remember reading it back when I was in early recovery, not even sure where I got it from. I think Instagram, a recovery page that I follow. And it really resonated with me, because I hadn't really had anything to lose to begin with when I first found my drug and drink of choice. Other than myself, and I just continued to run myself into the ground. And I have gained things in my recovery now that I don't want to lose whatsoever. And I'm very aware of the fact that I spent so long putting a drug first over anything, over even the possibility of me having any hope of a life. And if I were to do that again, it's just, I'm risking my life. I really am. And I'm risking everything that I love. And I may not have much, but I love it. And I don't ever want to lose it, So it's such an important notion.
Absolutely. I mean, wow. I think if I relapsed, I would lose everything, the external things, but I think the thing that I would lose the most is the internal peace and happiness that I've experienced for the first time in my life in recovery. I was never happy. I always felt like something was wrong. And
I can relate.
The drugs didn't ever make that go away. They tried to. I tried to make it go away really hard, but and the thing is that I put my use or my drinking, my using, whatever, I put it first for so long. I would have driven, to Sydney to get the good drugs or to get whatever. And the reality is that today I would drive to Sydney to get the good recovery, and that's what I've been told and what I've learned is that. You have to put, or I have to put, and it's suggested. It's the suggested things that I put as much effort into my recovery today as I used to put into my using, because I did a really good job of destroying my life. Today I have to do a really good job of rebuilding and keeping my life.
Yeah, that's something my sponsor used to kind of not drill, but just suggest to me is that if I could put as much effort into my recovery that I put into actively using and scoring, then I should be okay. I should be pretty determined to recover.
The efforts that I used to put into using, whether it was driving to that 24-hour bottle shop that was still open at 4 a.m, or whether it was, going on a huge adventure to try and find the drugs, it was disastrous. And today it's actually a lot easier, even though it's still my first priority, it's definitely a lot easier than that old life, which I have to remember. And the external things, he yelled at me, she said this, my partner left, I got fired. They still happen. But, there's the but, I don't have to let them destroy me. And the thing that I've learned through my recovery is that they will always keep happening. I will get fired. My partner will leave. Somebody will say something to me or someone will yell at me. And today I don't have to use over it. I can actually just sit with it and I will survive. And I can ring my sponsor, or I can go to a meeting, or I can do some self-care, or I can eat a nutritious meal, or I can, watch TV and try and forget about it. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. Exercise, meditation, prayer. There's more ways. There's more ways than just using to deal with those things. We don't have to justify our use of drugs with those things anymore. And now we have those, I haven't really had a vacation for a while, but I have the opportunity to have one. I can't leave my kids. My child is a dog. So, I can't leave my dog.
Mine's a cat. It's okay.
I have to finish this project so I can impress my boss. Well, You know, Mr. Hills and Rangers Private, we hope you're impressed with our efforts here. You know, and it's so true that we do put these things up there, but recovery has to come first at all times, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I've learned. You know, I kind of wished and wanted that I could put other things first, but I ended up like hearing around the rooms of people, you know, who had done that and who ended up losing what they had, and I kind of got a little scared, you know, like, and that's the good thing about also being in the rooms and being in recovery, you know, especially in a rehab where you have peers, is that you can learn from each other. You know, you don't have to make those mistakes. You don't have to make the same choices, but if you really actively listen to one another, you can hear what each other has gone through and where our addiction has led us all, you know, like we all end up in the same place, no matter the drink, no matter the drug. And
And
I think that having recovery as a solid foundation to build the mansion that is the rest of your life is, it's absolutely crucial. You know, recovery, like to use a construction term, like recovery has to be the concrete slab upon which the foundation of my life is built. Absolutely. I have to make sure there are no cracks in that concrete. I have to make sure that it is set and cured. You know,
and no skeletons in the concrete either. You have to sort your stuff out through you know, working that strong recovery program. All those skeletons in the closet, you need to air them out and let them be free and share them with other people. And that's where, you know, that sharing and that peer support you get in recovery, you know, whether it's in day program or psychologists or meetings and sharing
group
and sponsorship.
Therapy, meetings,
you have to do that. And I mean, the age old phrase, you know, whatever you put first, that's what you will lose first. So if I put my love of cars first, I will lose my cars because I'll drink, drive and crash. Or I will spend my registration money on using, and then I will lose my cars that way, or whatever. I'll lose my house and won't have anywhere to keep the cars. You know, it's just all those things that we put first. We have to. They, you know, that's the thing, is putting them second to recovery is actually better than putting them first in the first place, because that guarantees that they will probably stay if we put our recovery first.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean,
in my experience anyway.
Yeah. Oh, in mine too. And I mean, I think our readers will, if they haven't worked this out already, they sure will. And that's what we learn in treatment as well. When we go to rehab, we learn that it takes serious work to stay in recovery, and takes serious work to get in recovery too. And I think, you know, from my experience, I needed to go to a leading private rehab to get into recovery, and the things I learned there helped me stay in recovery, which is basically what we learn, you know, what guests learn at Hills and Rangers Private as well. Now, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about the benefits of keeping a diary or journal.
Listening to the Recovery Cast by Hills and Rangers Private. Now playing daily on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. For more shows, visit us at www.rehab.melbourne.
Welcome back to the Recovery Cast with Oliver and Alexis. Now, I'm looking here at my desk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, more than 6, 7 diaries or journals that I have filled up over the years from when I was about 16 or 15 up until today. Now, that's awesome. Yeah, well, I mean...
Full history. I love that.
Oh, ish. You know, 2007 to current. And that's, you know, 13 years or 14 years of, you know, keeping a journal. And not only do I have this as a tool to write down my thoughts. I mean, before this episode, we talked about what keeping a journal or a diary, why we do it and what we get out of it. And what's your? I actually wrote your list down, Alexis, of the things that you said. So do you want to just say what? I wrote them down, so I'll know if you're lying to me, because I know the truth. What do you get out of keeping a journal, Alexis?
Oh, geez, what did I say?
I can tell you if you want.
Sorry, hold on. That's all right, hold on. So for me, journaling helps me improve my relationship with myself, especially when I focus on developing like positive self-talk and identifying any negative thoughts or perceptions that I may have on myself, which is really important for me because I can be incredibly brutal. You know, I can do the tiniest thing and then that is it. I will pull out the whips and I will whip myself into oblivion. And that's a habit that I really want to work on. I guess it's not going to benefit me. It only causes me more distress, and I would really like to work on that. It also helps me control my PTSD symptoms as well. Improve my mood. It helped me prioritize problems and concerns and any fears that I had. It allowed me to track any symptoms I had back when my PTSD was in a really bad place in my early recovery. It allowed me to recognize triggers and gave me the opportunity to look at ways to not so much even control them, but to guide myself through them and to learn how to sit with my feelings. You know, a big part of journaling has been me learning how to sit with discomfort as well. Did I hit it? Did I get all the answers correct?
Some of them weren't even there on my list.
Okay. Yeah.
So you've brought up you've paraphrased some of them that were, but you've brought up so many things, and I mean that's insane how many things you've got there, and the benefits. There are so many. I mean,
I got a lot out of journaling.
I've got here: get it out of your head and onto paper. Get clarity.
Yes.
Thoughts, you wrote down your thoughts when you started and finished each step, and you tracked your progress.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah, I did.
I mean, if there was just one benefit, then I would recommend it for people in recovery, for our listeners. If there was one benefit, but you've just listed, I don't know how many, there were 20 benefits. For me, mine are different again. I've got here, seeing how far I've come. So because I started journaling when I was just a wee lad of 16 years old, you know, an emotional teenager, hated myself, you know, all those things. I can see how far I've come, and I wrote down all my feelings and my problems, and now I can see that all my problems I've written, even the more recent ones, I think, oh, that's so cute. You were bothered by that, you know. Now I actually in recovery can deal with things that I can't control. That's the biggest one in my diaries. It's like, oh, somebody said this, exactly like the reading. He yelled at me. She said this. My partner left. I got fired. I used to get so bothered by that stuff, and now I'm just like, it's fine. I got fired because I need a better job, you know, or I don't know, somebody said this. Well, maybe that's true. Maybe I need to look at myself and improve my behavior. Maybe I need to actually be responsible for myself. Why was someone yelling at me? Maybe because I was selfish or fearful or whatever it is. Maybe I need to do some more work. Maybe I need to work the steps a bit harder. So there's so much growth there. I can see how far I've come. I can keep track of my feelings. The average person, listeners, how did you feel on this day 10 years ago? I'm going to give you a second to think about that. Maybe you have a rough idea, but I can tell you exactly how I felt 10 years ago. Why don't I look at that right now? What was it? It's 2010. Yep, I'm looking at March 2010. Let me have a look. Hang on. What am I looking at? 2010. I was concerned with behaviour that was very harmful for me. I was reading a lot of books. I guess that's good. I was playing in bands. I'm looking at something from 2010 here. But I was actually very, very upset and very, very troubled as a young man of 19 years old. Look at this, there's drug use in here. So I was really, really not well, you know, and I can see that and I can track my feelings and in comparison to what I'm like today, totally different. I can keep a historic note of my life so that when I'm dead and gone, perhaps one of my relatives can look in a box in their attic and say, oh, what's all this rubbish? And then put it in the bin, you know, or it might end up in a museum in 200 years of, you know, people pre whatever, you know, it's a historic note of my life that I can keep track of everything. And I also write a lot of lists, a lot of to-do lists, a lot of 5-year plans, 10-year plans.
I'm a list maker as well.
Yeah, and gratitude lists as well.
Yeah.
So there's so many things here, and I can get my feelings out onto paper. And if I mean, you know, you can do that lots of ways. You can ring your sponsor, you can talk to friends, you can get counselling, group therapy. But this book's sitting on my bedside table and I can get up at 3 a.m. and I can write in it and air my innermost feelings and keep it private. And a problem shared is a problem halved, and you don't have to share it with a human being. You can share it with your higher power, or you can share it with a book that's made of paper. You know, it doesn't have to be any one way of doing it, but a journal or a diary is so good. Now, what's my challenge for today? My challenge for our listeners is to write in your journal. And if you don't have a journal, get one. Get a nice little book. I actually...
use the Notes app on your phone.
Oh, that's a good one too, yeah.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
Well, it is the 21st century after all, and we all have phones with us.
Pen and paper, brick and mortar, and recommend using the Notes app on your phone. At least start taking a couple of little notes. I think it's a really great idea. Just detail how you're feeling today, like how are you feeling today? What are you grateful for? And what are you looking forward to tomorrow?
Wow, that's a really good challenge. That's such a good challenge. I think you couldn't have said it. I couldn't have said it better myself. Right.
Hope you didn't mind me taking over there.
No. Well, we're co-hosts, so we have to come up with this together. Yeah. And I think that's bang on. I was going to go into a digression about how I have these beautiful diaries that I bought in Venice 10 years ago. You know, not relevant, Oliver. So
not relevant, Oliver.
get a diary, write in it. Get a journal, write in it. Mm-hmm. And write in it as much or as little as you want. I definitely used to write every day. Now I probably write every 2 or 3 weeks, and it just helps me keep track of where I'm at and what my plans are. And now that I'm in recovery, I actually look back and I see how much I've achieved. You know, all the things that I had to do or that I wanted to do, I have achieved all of them. All of the worries that I had, I've resolved them through working a strong program. When I look back at the ones pre-2016 when I was using, it was all me writing about, oh, I want to stop, I hate my life. And today it's like, I did this, it was fantastic, and I'm doing all these nice things and I feel really good. Or I have a problem and I want to resolve it, I'm going to do this to fix it. And then the next entry is, I fixed it. So there's so much growth.
Personal growth looks good on you.
Yeah. It does. It looks good on everybody.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
So,
yeah, my favorite thing to see somebody in. Absolutely.
And everybody deserves to and has the ability to learn to succeed and to grow and kick goals in their life and stop sabotaging themselves like I did for so many years. I've learned to take responsibility.
I did for so many years.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes with the territory, doesn't it? So
absolutely, we can relate.
Great. I'm so glad I had that idea about journaling. Awesome. Well, yeah. Awesome.
Great suggestion.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, well, that's all we got time for today. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Recovery Cast, proudly brought to you by Hills and Rangers Private. If you have any questions, please get in touch with us. Jump on www.rehab.melbourne. give us a call, just read up on the website. And in the meantime, get that journal going. However you choose to do it, it's really, really beneficial. And put your recovery first as well. That's really important too. Cheers. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Recovery Cast. For more, visit us at www.rehab.melbourne.